He's wobbled by a left hook, and he's in trouble. Cotto's all over him. The year was 2010. The place, MGM Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas. A young, hungry, red-headed 19-year-old stepped through the ropes for the 32nd time in his professional career. His name was Saul Canelo Alvarez. And though still a teenager, his name was already echoing through the corridors of boxing's elite, whispered as the next great Mexican champion. His fists were heavy, his record spotless, 31 wins and 1 draw, and his future painted in gold. But that night, inside those ropes, everything nearly came crashing down. The stage was set. Canelo was fighting under the promotional banner of Golden Boy Promotions, led by none other than Oscar de la Hoya. He had the backing, the marketing muscle, and the charisma to be a superstar. Outside the ring, things were just as bright. He was dating Marisol Gonzalez, a TV hostess and former Miss Universe contestant. He had it all: looks, power, talent, and momentum. But none of that would matter once the opening bell rang. It was May 1, 2010. The card was stacked, headlined by the undefeated Maestro Floyd Mayweather Jr. against Shane Mosley. Canelo Alvarez was slotted as the co-main event against Puerto Rican veteran Jose Miguel Cotto, brother of the famed Miguel Cotto. It was billed as a step up in competition, a test for the teenage sensation. But what no one could predict was just how close Canelo would come to defeat. As Tony Weeks stood in the center of the ring, preparing to officiate, expectations were clear. This would be another dominant showing from Canelo. The Mexican prodigy had torn through opponents back home and in the States with his quick hands and thunderous body shots. Yet critics remained skeptical. Was he just another overhyped prospect padded by soft matchmaking? Had he truly been tested? That night, those questions would be answered. The first bell rang, and within seconds, it was clear this was no ordinary fight. Canelo approached cautiously, measuring Cotto with feints and jabs, trying to establish his rhythm. But Jose Miguel Cotto wasn't there to lose. He wasn't starstruck. He wasn't intimidated by the teenager across from him. A seasoned fighter with over a decade of experience, Cotto had seen it all. And he had a plan. He waited, he stalked. Then he struck. Using his right hand as bait, Cotto unleashed a perfectly timed left hook that caught Canelo flush on the jaw. The shot landed like a thunderbolt. Canelo's legs buckled, and he stumbled backward, the ropes catching him just before he hit the canvas. Is wobbled by a left hook, and he's in trouble. Cotto's jumping on him. It was a moment that silenced the crowd. A young star was hurt, seriously hurt, for the first time in his career. Cotto, smelling blood like a shark in open water, swarmed him with a flurry of punches, rights, lefts, body shots, and uppercuts. Canelo covered up, clinched, and tried to survive. His defense was instinctual but shaky. The crowd was on its feet. Eddie Reynoso, Canelo's lifelong trainer, watched from the corner, barking instructions. Canelo was under siege, but he wasn't breaking. He fought back in flashes, showing grit. He needed to get to the end of the round. Seconds felt like hours, and then, salvation. The bell rang. Canelo staggered back to his corner, bruised and shaken. Reynoso leaned in, his voice sharp but calm. "Relax. You're the better boxer. You can win this fight. That's just the first round. Stay composed." In that moment, it wasn't just about talent anymore. It was about heart. The second round began, and a subtle but powerful shift occurred. Canelo wasn't just fighting to win anymore. He was fighting to prove something, to himself and the world. The nerves were gone. The fear was replaced with focus. He moved forward, eyes locked on Cotto. Measured steps. Crisp jabs. He was studying his prey now. And then he attacked. Canelo uncorked a ferocious uppercut that detonated on Cotto's chin. The Puerto Rican collapsed to the canvas. It was a seismic reversal. The crowd erupted. Canelo walked to a neutral corner, no emotion on his face. Just fire in his eyes. Cotto beat the count, but the tides had turned. From that moment on, the ring belonged to Canelo. What followed was an unraveling, a surgical dismantling of a veteran fighter who had dared to test the rising star. Canelo's combinations were crisp and brutal. Body shots that dug deep into the ribs, overhand rights that snapped Cotto's head back, and counters timed to perfection. But Cotto didn't fold. He fought valiantly, looking for openings, creating angles, and flicking out his jab. He landed a few clean shots in return. But they lacked the steam of earlier rounds. Canelo walked through them, unfazed. Round after round, Canelo pressed forward like a tank. His footwork cut off the ring. His defense was tight. His offense, relentless. The veteran was slowly being broken down. Cotto had his moments, a clean counter here, a flurry there, but they were sparks in a storm. By the midway point, Cotto's face bore the marks of war. His punches no longer snapped. His legs moved slower. His breathing grew heavy. Canelo, meanwhile, looked as fresh as he did in the opening round. His rhythm improving, his timing sharper. Rounds 6 and 7 saw Alvarez fully in command, launching combinations with stunning speed and precision. Left hooks to the liver, right uppercuts through the guard, and stiff jabs that dictated range. The body work, in particular, was devastating. Cotto's guard began to drop, his reactions dulled by the cumulative punishment. By round 8, it was clear the fight had turned into a survival contest for Cotto. He was still throwing, still circling, still answering the call, but the life had been drained from his offense. He was running on fumes. And then came the 9th round. Canelo came out like a predator finishing the kill. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to make a statement. Punches rained down in thudding succession. Cotto's defense crumbled. He could barely keep his hands up. The Mexican's shots found their targets with frightening precision. Uppercuts, body shots, left hooks, it was a masterclass in finishing. Tony Weeks watched closely. Another right hand landed flush. Cotto staggered. Another left hook split the guard. Weeks stepped in. It was over. The crowd roared as Canelo raised his gloves. But he didn't celebrate wildly. No jumping on the ropes. No scream of triumph. Just a quiet nod. As if he knew. This wasn't the pinnacle, it was just the beginning. Because on that night, Canelo Alvarez didn't just defeat Jose Miguel Cotto. He passed his first real test. He proved he could be hurt, could be challenged, and could rise. That's what separates hype from greatness. That night, the boy became something more. He became a fighter. And boxing took notice. In retrospect, this fight was the crucible. Everything changed after May 1, 2010. It wasn't just about wins anymore, it was about legacy. And Canelo was ready to chase it. Critics who once questioned his resume had now seen him hurt, and watched him come back stronger. He showed poise beyond his years, a chin that could withstand punishment, and a mindset unshaken by adversity. Over the next decade, Canelo would go on to conquer multiple weight divisions. From junior middleweight to light heavyweight, his name became synonymous with pay-per-view excellence. He beat legends like Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, and Gennady Golovkin. He unified titles, headlined massive events, and became the face of boxing in the post-Mayweather era. But it all traces back to that night. That moment when a left hook from Jose Miguel Cotto nearly derailed it all. It's a question that divides fans and experts alike. Is Canelo Alvarez the greatest boxer of all time? The debate is nuanced. Muhammad Ali had charisma and political impact that transcended sport. Sugar Ray Robinson is often cited as the greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever. Floyd Mayweather retired undefeated with surgical precision. Manny Pacquiao won titles in 8 divisions. Canelo's resume, however, is uniquely his own. He fought elite opposition consistently. He took risks, moving up in weight, facing punchers, brawlers, and slick boxers alike. His ability to adjust mid-fight, his relentless work ethic, and his mastery of all boxing fundamentals make him a generational talent. But perhaps what makes him most unique is his longevity. Starting at age 15, fighting professionally in Mexico, he amassed over 60 fights before turning 30. And through it all, he evolved. The kid who staggered against Jose Miguel Cotto in 2010 is a completely different animal today. A calculating, ruthless technician with a granite chin and monster power. He's no longer chasing the throne, he's sitting on it. On May 1, 2010, boxing almost witnessed the fall of a future legend. But instead, it watched his rise. A 19-year-old kid, rolled by a left hook, stood back up and fought like a champion. Canelo Alvarez didn't just win that night, he arrived. And he never looked back. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.